process around that is just use that's what I call a hard focus, and a soft focus is where you can lift your head and look over what you're looking at. You still see what's happening in your peripheral, but your vision is soft focus above, which then means you can pick up entries, you can pick up on sides, and you can see other things. And when people do that, that's when they become game managers, because they're actually then seeing a wider picture, just not the picture in front of them. So I think if you start thinking like that as a coach, and think about how you can actually transpose that into everything that they do, and it's again like talking about if a referee is doing certain things and they're getting caught out, narrow their game running lines down. So instead of going into the tram line, say stay out of tram lines, just stay them inside the 15 and become more direct. So there is a whole bunch of things that you can do in that regard. It actually assists the referee to really value his focus point into what he's really got to do well, and that's adjudicate the game fairly and to the law. So let's make sure when you're doing that, just think about those other things as well, and I think you'll find that'll open up a whole new world of how you start to coach. So is everybody happy with that? So those are my takeouts for you. And most of you guys see that anyway. I'm just going to reinforce it, because then that makes your life and the people that you coach so much easier, because the light bulbs start going on. So in saying that, James, thanks for being the guinea pig today.
Test dummy.
What we've done is we selected Norm to have a chat to you in regards to the game, and this is just an exercise that you've gone through 100 times before, and so is the man that's going to talk to you. So we just want to actually make sure that everybody reviews the process, and it's just part of the learning. Okay? So Norm, over to you.
Okay. So just first off, just a bit of a general chat about how we went. How did you think the game went today?
It was a good game. It was real tough. Real game too hard. So I dominated that first period, playing ball, and then Varsity kind of just came back and made a tight finish. But that made me have to work hard and
What in particular do you think went well in the game?
For me personally, I was happy with if I look at my game plan and what my focus areas are, I was happy with how my scrum was. Been big work for me this year has been the process to try and get stability pre-set call. So just making sure that process is really slow and concise. If I'm not happy with something, don't go to the next call. So for me it was just being nice and slow. If I wasn't getting compliance, which a couple of times it wasn't, especially with the loose head from Who and then the tight head from Varsity, just trying to work with those two to make sure that I'm getting that height space that I was after from them. Positionally, for me, it was a bit of a mixed bag at times. When I'm transitioning through jockey or inflated tank, I was happy with getting managing the contest and then getting my scan and moving to the next phase. It was when we were getting into that red zone and I was operating, I had to go to the D line. Felt like I was just getting way too ball focused on what was happening right in front of me, opposed to worrying about everything else.
Okay, and so touching a couple of things. Anything you think you might have, looking back, you've had a bit of time now that you might have done differently in the game?
Yeah, I think in that positional space, just even though obviously it's tensions up and we're in the red zone and it's real hot, just bring it back down. Remember, okay, it's a normal breakdown. You've got, where's the ball? Is there a contest? Yes, manage. If not, sweet. Now scan. Not just being concerned about the fact because it's, yes, they're picking and going and they're staying tight, being aware that there's still another aspect that you've got to manage, and not just being worried about solving what's in front of you. So I think just that piece around, I thought how I was between the two 22s, I was overall, still moments, but overall I was happy with. Once I got into that red zone, it just got a little bit away from what I was doing.
So just the specific things that you asked me to look at were based around scrum, positioning and movement, and game management. Is there anything that you want to highlight in either of those three that you think was really good today, or you could improve on?
Nothing more than what I just said.
Okay, so talking about a few things in the game, let's start with scrum first. So the first scrum wasn't for ages in the game, it was probably 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's about 7 minutes,
yeah. So talk me through that first scrum. What happened? What do you do first scrum of the game?
So first thing, I always go, what we've talked about pre-match, set our standards early, and just then I go through what my process is, what I want from a crouch, what I want at line, what I want and then set, and then after that.
And what happened with that first scrum?
Can't remember.
Sorry?
Can't remember.
You can't remember?
It's a good 2 hours ago.
So it collapsed, okay?
Oh, that's right.
Very first scrum.
Loose head from the tight head from Otahu just overextended and stood straight out. For me, it was just footing on the ground. It wasn't anything.
So you don't, in terms of the setup, you think you were happy with this with the scrum?
No sense of that. Sorry.
Okay, because what I was seeing is that in that very first scrum, there was a very the loose head, Otahu tight head, loose head, was virtually standing up compared to the other side. The scrum was.
Was that the Otahu tight head on your side?
Otahu loose head, was it?
That was on my side, wasn't it? Yeah.
So that first scrum collapsed, okay?
Yeah.
So then what happens when we start trying again? What happened?
It collapsed, from memory, it collapsed again, but we had ball at the back, so we just played away from it.
We played on.
Yeah. And then next scrum, that's when we initiated the process and got, okay, the way those two, everyone was like, let's get our height right. Let's set square, let's set our height.
Okay. In that whole process, is there anything you think you could change looking back on that?
Probably could have
prevented that first collapse, or
well, the first collapse for me, it was the biggest issue was that he just lost his foot. He just slipped. It wasn't anything else like that. He slipped as soon as he was sat. It was for me is that probably could have still had a chat of tell him to take his time, get his stability right, make sure he's applying his sway before we move on the crouch.
And
then probably could have just gone a little bit earlier on the conversation opposed to waiting for the next one.
And then you AR'd for the premiers. Is there anything you noticed in the way Thomas managed his scrums?
Yeah, he was probably
that you thought was good? Or?
Yeah, a bit more deliberate and proactive around it. So just before, like as I said, if I maybe probably could have just had that conversation earlier, where that's what he was doing.
Yeah. Very first scrum. Set the scrum, made this call that it was a scrum. The very first thing he did is he spoke to the front rows, right?
Yeah.
Spoke to them deliberately. They went in the crouch, he wasn't happy. So what happened there?
He stood it up.
He stood it up, he spoke to them again, right? When they went down, what happened? Nothing. Good scrum. Okay. So I think that's something you talked about in your notes. I've put my glasses on. You said have a slow and controlled tempo, set a clear standard on the gap, give myself space to walk through the process, and keep it slow. Now all those things are important, but I think the thing you also need to think about is that am I getting what I want rather than just going through the process.
Well, exactly, that's part of that.
And that to me was a clear difference between Thomas was doing. He was going through the process, but when he wasn't getting that compliance with what he wanted, he would stop, reset, right guys, this is what I want, and do it. Whereas in your game, you kind of went through a process and you weren't necessarily getting what you wanted, but you just carried on.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? So I think that's just something you think about. Scrums, as we hear about in our meetings, it's the one part of the game that we have complete control of up until that set call.
Yeah.
and some, you know, to make sure that we're getting our compliance and getting what we want, we've got to take control in those phases. There was another thing early in the game. There was you penalised University diving off their feet very early, right in front of the post, and obviously there was some chit chat from
7 blue, yeah.
Yep. And you marched in 10 metres. Talk me through your process.
So they just, for me, it's I expect what my standards are around that. I say to the captain, everything comes to you. If players want to talk to me, they're going to be at risk. So your team's discipline, it's your responsibility. So 7's just stood up and then he's got that spoken bullshit rap. So like, that's a standard. I said it early. And I'm serious.
So you've had that conversation pre-match with the captain?
I always say that my pre-match starts with the captain. Your team's discipline is your responsibility.
And what about in the game itself? Do you think that...
From there, I had no, varsity in particular, and 7 in particular, had absolutely no issues after that.
Do you think it might have been appropriate to, you know, pick that up again, say, you know, stop things down, slow it down a bit, have a chat with captain? We talked pre-match about this.
That's what I did after the penalty, when they had that shot, tapped shot goal. I just walked over and said, Carl, that's what we talked about.
Because obviously it's early in the game. We're wanting to make sure that we're getting what we're wanting, and it's a good opportunity to just stop, repeat what you've said, and talk about what you talked about pre-game, and you're not getting that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it needs to change.
Yeah, and I felt like that, what I did there, that's exactly it.
Okay. So you talked about scrums. The positioning and movement, you talk about entry and exit lines at the breakdown, getting to position efficiently and exiting in a way that doesn't compromise getting into the next position, and is there a contest, and if so, managing it. So, are there any bits of the game that you want to comment about that, where you felt you got into a good position or you didn't, or
nothing that overly stands out. Nothing good or bad. I mean, there was times where I was happy with how I was entering in, other times it wasn't as clean.
There were a couple of three things that stood out to me that I just wanted to dig a little bit deeper into. There was a couple of two scenarios where we penalised the team for I'm not sure what the penalty was for, but the guys were going over the ball, hands on the ball and lifting, and you were actually penalising.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with it. It was against 14 blue and it was against 3 blue for not supporting anyway, because their elbows just hit the deck and then they would just drag straight down. It's not cleanly on the ball. Yeah.
And talk me through, there was a scenario going down near the touchline where we were standing on the side.
Yeah.
There was I can't remember whether it was off the back of the scrum or a breakdown. Ball comes out, you go wide, infield.
Yeah.
Ball goes the other way.
Missed time where I thought I was going to be quicker going infield and then realised I just completely put myself getting into the next position. So yeah, I suppose that was one of those ones that probably more of a messy line to get into there. Wasn't overly when in hindsight I thought if I go infield then I can get around the corner and then be back corner line, where actually the smart role should be just to follow the 8 and even maybe go wider and let him stay on the inside. So
Yeah, because you ended up, it was
just working harder than it needed to.
okay. We'll get to our third thing in terms of game management. Having a clear process around cause and effect of penalty and infringements, why we're penalising infringements, what's the impact, and can we play away or use an advantage. And one of the main pointing I want to talk about is your use of advantage in terms of different scenarios on the field. There's two particular things that I wanted to talk about. One of them was there was a University just shelled the ball in front of the posts defensively coming out, you blew your whistle immediately for advantage. But there were three Otahu guys there. If they could have scooped it up and passed it,
Did Varsity fall into possession? Did they still have possession of the ball?
he's knocked it. Someone passed the ball, he just shelled it straight in front of it. It was going straight to an Otahu player. But we just.
I'll review that. I don't remember that one specifically. If I've blown it straight away, it's because they've probably made possession of it.
Yeah. Okay, so you felt there was no.
Yeah, I
no way
need to review the
condition involved.
Well, yeah, without.
Sure. And there was another one down the other end where he awarded a scrum to Otahu. Well, I think it was to Otahu. It was University, but you signal advantage for the Otahu halfback coming offside.
Yeah.
It's a muddy field, they're 5 metres out. Given the situation, you played this very long advantage going up the field. What was your thoughts behind the advantage in that kind of
Well, they had the overlap going out. Yes, they were 5-10 metres out, but they had the overlap going wide and very nearly got through on that left-hand side. So let's just see what they're wanting to do and if they can run it out and give them that opportunity. So they still had the ball to play.
Rog gave us these sheets to make some comments about various phases of play. Most of the things I think we've covered. Going back to the scrum one, there was an incident down far end where you penalised University at a scrum where they were dominant.
Yeah. The tight heads dropped his line straight on the shoulder and it just pulled the straight straight. Yeah.
Couldn't see that from our side. Yeah. But from our side it looked like that Otahu just pulled out of the scrum just collapsed.
Yeah, because so what's happened here, that loose end from Otahu's got straight down, and that's only happened because the lines just come straight onto the shoulder and he's just cranked them.
One, I mean, there were a few, I've got notes about a few different things that I was pointing out, individual little things, but one of the things, just an overall picture that I felt, that your presence, you could lift your presence a little bit in terms of your voice. You talked about not talking too much. We actually didn't talk very much at all.
Yeah.
But perhaps you could use your voice to manage your way out of some of those penalties, or some penalties very quick.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe you might have found that talking someone out of that hand or the rolling away or whatever, you might have been able to avoid the penalty.
Yeah.
But also just generally at scrum time, in that your voice, you haven't got a particularly loud boom kind of voice. Yeah. I understand that. But even from 5-10 metres away in the scrum, I could only just hear you, whereas maybe trying to help get that compliance at scrum time, putting a bit more oomph into your scrum calls might help.
Yeah.
And just generally the nice loud whistle signals. Because that was a clear observation between Thomas's game and your game. Thomas has a very relaxed approach, but he's very clear in his signals, his whistle. It looks very